Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet SkyFF, the world where everything revolves around £50,000. Any closer, James? No closer?
No,
No? Bad week?
not particularly average week. I've ruled myself out. I've definitely come finishing first, mate. I'd need some monster turnaround. 135th overall, very average week.
How many points did you get this week?
109 points for the week. Bamford captain last night. Bruno captain Sunday. Saturday, I can't remember our captain. Oh, obviously Dunk Monday. I bought Dunk in for Rudiger, captain Rudiger. Saturday, Parsons here. Friday was Bamford captain as well. Rodri no show. Good returns from the City guys again. 5 returnees: Edison, Stones, Cancelo, Diaz, Sterling. Gundogan fit, so even the 2 points feels like more than I expected going into the week. To be honest, it's not a bad week. Just it's not going anywhere at the moment. To be honest,
that's all. It's very hard. I think it is very, very hard to make ground. I've had a good week, a very good week actually. If I look at it, I ended up scoring 128 points this week.
Nice.
Gave me a game week rank of 463, and it's jumped me from 2,600 and something to 1,800 and something.
So you're going to win the 50 grand?
Nah. But I have got quite a few transfers.
I was going to say, you got about 37 left, haven't you?
Not quite that many, but I do have 18, and that's no small number of transfers to have left now. Once we get to the blank game week in a few weeks, I'm hoping to be in the top 1,000. I think for me, if I can finish inside the top 500 this season, I'll be happy with that. And that's my target right now, is to get inside the top 500. I don't actually know how many points off the top 500 I am, but I did by default. I've done okay because I gambled on a few gambles that I made on the Friday last week. I had Stuart Dallas. That was a complete failure, but so was Bamford. Did Bamford get a shot here in that game last week, Friday?
Not Friday, no. Last night, yes, but not Friday.
Yeah, so Dallas and Bamford cancelled each other out last week, whereas yesterday Dallas went mental as captain. Tackle tier, clean sheet, goal, and starting 11.
Left-footed toe pump. What a superstar!
I was hoping he'd get man of the match as well with all of that, but he didn't, and that's probably me just being a little bit greedy.
Rafinha was man of the match all day long, mate.
Yeah,
brilliant. I mean, Rafinha should have had man of the match Friday as well.
I had on the Saturday I had Nick Pope, which was lovely because that's a clean sheet. 18 points off Nick Pope. You're never going to scoff at as captain. On the Sunday, I went with Bruno Fernandes. Standard, 20 points. Thank you very much. Monday night, I did the same as you, Lewis Dunk. Not ideal, but I'll take the 8 points and run because I do need him again in a couple of weeks. It's the Everton-Brighton game, I think, is it, that I need him for?
Brighton-Newcastle 29. We'll talk about that in a bit.
I think he might linger around, maybe. And then last night, obviously, I mentioned Stuart Dallas. So 128 points is decent. My issue was obviously Phil Foden didn't play, so I actually got 128 points with 10 players. That £7.1 million burning a hole in my bank account is going to get spent this week. I'm going to do something. I'm going to start moving it around. Marcus Rashford's going to move on for me. I wanted him for the Newcastle game and so on and so on. But I feel like, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to make 3 or 4 moves that hopefully will give me good advantage. The likes of Harry Kane coming in now for Marcus Rashford, Phil Foden, potentially moving to Kevin De Bruyne, and so on and so on. But in the next 15 minutes or 20 minutes, you're going to talk to us about the fixture announcement and changes, and I'll probably make my decision after that.
You ain't going Marcus Rashford to Harry Kane. That doesn't make sense, mate. They're both playing on Sunday, and then Rashford's got another game before Kane plays another game. So Rashford's got Palace then before Kane plays Fulham. So you're not doing that. I wonder if you ever look at my spreadsheet.
I only look at it after we've spoken, right? So
who's your forwards at the moment?
Rashford and Sterling.
So you can go almost anyone to Kane, right? What system you got?
5 3-2. So I need to sell one of my defenders.
For
The
Kane.
ones that could potentially go all cover me off a potential single game day. So Lewis Dunk, Yannick Vestergaard, Stuart Dallas. Cancelo, Stones. I'm not selling either of those.
Yeah. So to be honest, just a little bit on those three. So Dunk obviously plays West Brom again this Saturday, and then there's a week gap to Leicester, and then there's at least another week gap to Southampton. Dunk is likely to go for me. It's a little bit dependent on if I get some information on their possible Southampton fixture the weekend before the FPL blank. Could land on a Monday, but actually if it landed on a Monday, which would be a 6 o'clock, same as Wolves Liverpool, and bearing in mind I've got no Liverpool, then I'm even more inclined to sell him, actually. To think, well, the gains to selling him, I think 4-for-1s in other places, right? And with effective captaincy of someone like Kane, it's even more. I'll be captaining Harry Kane probably 3 times over that period, so it'd be a 7-for-1. So holding on just because he's got a captaincy further down the line against Newcastle doesn't impress me that much. Those who bought Lewis Dunk have no regrets about that on Monday night, by the way. Passing over 100. Palace had 2 touches in the box to Brighton's 52. I mean, it was a complete freak that the only 2 times Palace went into Brighton's box is scored. So transferring him or Ben White or similar was very reasonable to do Monday night. You've still got the West Brom fixture Saturday. I suspect a lot of people like you will be thinking, I know I need that Newcastle game. I want to hold. And then the case of Dallas, probably thinking the same thing because we've now got that Monday night game against West Ham, which is also before they play Fulham in that blank week, which we now know is the Friday night, the 19th. So you're looking at that and thinking, if he's your only Leeds asset and you haven't got any West Ham, Chelsea or Everton, because Chelsea and Everton is the other game the same night Leeds play West Ham, you're thinking, well, I might as well hold. We've got 2 captaincies in 3 weeks there. And obviously at his price, he's a much easier one just to forget, I think, than people like me who've got a Bamford dilemma, which I'll come back to. And Vestergaard, he's probably really dependent on the rest of your team. Because at the moment, there's every chance I'm going to captain him Monday night. He's my only asset in Everton Southampton. And actually, the way the fixtures have landed for me, I'm probably going to captain him against Sheffield United on the Saturday the 6th afterwards as well. Now then, if the Brighton game ended up on Monday the 15th at 6 o'clock, which I'm not saying is going to happen, by the way, it's just a possibility the night Liverpool go to Wolves, then he'd cover me off for that one as well. And then looking beyond match week 29, those 3 fixtures really appeal to me. Burnley, West Brom, Crystal Palace. And the thing with Vestergaard is, right, you hit the bar against Chelsea. Your 2 efforts last night that you could have scored from as well. Yes, defensively, they're in a bad place at the moment. Been playing Bednarek at right back. I'll have a bet that they'll change that after what Rafinha did to Bednarek in that second half last night. So I think they could well tighten it up and put sort of Ward-Prowse back to right back or something. Move Bednarek back with Vestergaard, perhaps leave Salisu out. There's a few different things they could do with it. They've been experimenting with a back 3, which would possibly be stronger for Vestergaard from a passing tier perspective because he's been nowhere near them in these 2 games. But some of the fixtures coming up, I mean, Sheffield United, when they played them before, he had the passing tier by nearly half time, I think. Wasn't the stat that he'd had more passes in the first half than Sheffield United? Now, Sheffield United are obviously, to say they're in a better position now would be incorrect, but they will give Southampton a very different game to what they give them in December, don't get me wrong. But them other fixtures after 29, Burnley, West Brom, Palace, quite appeal. Now, the thing is, you can go, oh yeah, I'll sell Vestergaard a little bit like with Duncan that, and I'll come back to it if I want to. But there isn't actually really easy ways off Southampton because you've got the extra fixture in there with City as well, which, yeah, holding a defender for City is not the best idea, don't get me wrong. But that kind of, there isn't major gains to get off them. The fact the Everton game's the Monday as well. The Monday's almost an entry point. It's not an exit point for Southampton. It's more of an entry point. So it really could depend for me with Vestergaard, again, where that Brighton fixture maybe ends up. Because I think if the Brighton fixture's a Saturday, I'll almost definitely hold. Because I think, well, I've got 4 fixtures coming up.
Yep.
2 where I'm possibly going to captain him. Then there's a bigger gap where I can go back to, say, Dunk for the Newcastle fixture or something like that. It might even be, we speak about it a lot in the FPL pods, Newcastle getting much better. If Callum Wilson's back fit, for example, he could be a great little differential, for that weekend.
I was thinking about that as well. So really, what you're saying to me is that I'm stuck with 5 at the back because I'm not selling Cancelo or Stones. So
Well, no, I would
there's
I
no
would sell.
easy way to come off any of these.
Well, what I'm saying is you have to make a sacrifice.
Mm.
So you've got Dunk, Vestergaard. Have you got Treble City? Oh no,
Double C.
Double City. And who's your other
I've
defender?
got
Dallas.
Dallas. Yeah, and
Dallas, I
all three.
understand is
You've given me reasons to keep all three all of a sudden.
yeah, but it depends. So what have you got on Saturday the 6th? So
Saturday
you've got
6th.
Aston Villa. Have you got any Aston Villa?
No.
No. So it's Aston Villa Wolves. You've got Brighton versus Leicester. So,
So
one
I've
of
got
Dunk,
Lewis Dunk.
one of Dunk or Vestergaard can cover off that particular Saturday. Burnley against Arsenal, I presume you've got nothing.
Pope.
And
Nick
obviously,
Pope.
so for you, you've got the Nick Pope cover.
Mm.
It's not ideal, don't get me wrong, but it'll give you. Can they keep a clean sheet at home to Arsenal? I mean, that fixture was 0-0 last year. Arsenal do notoriously, by the way, have a much better record against Burnley than other teams do. I don't think they've been beaten at Turf Moor, strangely enough. Also means they're due, by the way. So you could go Nick Pope that Saturday, and then that becomes much easier for you to bin one of them than it is for me. For me, I'm likely to bin Dunk.
Yeah, I think Dunk is the one that I'm looking at. After West Brom, move off Dunk, and maybe even potentially go from Dunk to Salah on Sunday with the Sheffield United game, and that gives me Salah for Sheffield United and Fulham potentially, and then move away from Salah.
You've got so much money burning that hole. You can go. My original plan is set up. Overhaul was to be going Dunk to Kane. And that's what I'm still likely to do. Even with that move, it's still going to leave me 1.7 in the bank. I've got 5.4. You've got even more than that, right? Mm. So, I mean, I could go on Sunday, Dunk to Kane and Sterling to Salah. I can get them both in. I'm really annoyed about the Liverpool fixture at Wolves on the Monday night, because one of my strategies on this little period was to go without Liverpool completely. And I still might, actually, which I can talk about a run-through idea of what my plans are. But I think for this week coming, I'm looking at Dunk to Kane on Sunday and Bamford to DCL on Monday. But that one's really to be confirmed. The other thing with the money in the bank is it's very flexible for me. So if one of those three City defensive guys that I've got, Cancelo, Stones, Diaz, I mean, if they pick up an injury on Saturday, they'll go instead. There's not a doubt about it. So I'm not completely wed into definitely selling Dunk or definitely selling Bamford on Monday. I don't need to buy Calvert-Lewin on Monday in the sense that I've got Vestergaard. Southampton, as we mentioned on the FPL pods, done very well against Everton in the last couple of years. And it's the sort of game that might suit a little bit more. Yerry Mina being out as well means a little bit more potential attacking from the set pieces for Vestergaard. Yeah. The ones that are really bugging me at the moment are Villa and Everton. So I've kind of penciled in the idea of maybe going Sterling to Ollie Watkins next Wednesday as well, after City have played Wolves, and then that night Villa play Sheffield United. I'm still really of the thinking that Villa are going to play Everton on March the 17th, St. Patrick's Day. And that's why they're the two nagging at me, because obviously I don't have any Villa Everton, and then the gains on them are massive. I mean, if you take
getting the Grealishes of the world, or Martinez, even with Pope to Martinez or whatever, try and find an entry point.
If you take Calvert-Lewin from Monday, and I think Calvert-Lewin reluctantly is probably the way to go for Everton, unless you really fancy something defensively, but their inconsistencies would really annoy me. Brilliant at Liverpool, but shit at home to Fulham. Which one are you going to captain him in? It's the Fulham one. I think it would be Calvert-Lewin. If the Villa fixture happens, you're looking at plenty of 5 overs with a couple of captaincies in there. And then on the other side, after obviously the weekend that they blank, you've got Palace and Brighton as well, which if they landed as single game days, you'd be thinking, yep, want some of that as well. And should they beat Manchester City in the FA Cup quarterfinal, which we know is unlikely, is likely to be more single game days to come as well. Yep. So Calvert-Lewin temps and Villa, I mean, from that Sheffield United fixture as well, Sheffield United, Wolves, Newcastle, Tottenham, Fulham in a row, those 5 fixtures in that period, you've got a couple of teams only going to play twice. So Watkins, Grealish was going to be a lock, but we think
Where is he?
we don't know the injury status. We think he's probably going to be out for a while. I noticed
Well, just follow the rest of the Aston Villa FPL teams, and if the players are buying him back, then we know he's right, don't we?
they've all been banned. I mean, yeah, to be honest, people go, oh, yeah, people transferring X out. That's no good for FPL. Yeah, it's great for Sky to get that information. Thanks very much. I noticed looking at Grealish last night, still he's 27% owned still in the top 1,000, actually.
Wow.
So that tells me
that's stubbornness of people coming out of overhaul and thinking,
no,
well, I've got him, I don't want to.
No, I don't think so. I think that's a lot of people who wouldn't have had the information. They would have got the Villa team on Sunday afternoon and gone, what's this? Probably already had the Leeds coverage, probably already had the Brighton coverage. So they actually haven't, what they're thinking from a move wise probably hasn't come up for them yet. And because of the run they've got coming up, they're probably thinking, well, shit, if he's back even for Sheffield United, he's a player that I probably wanted to buy. So I'll wait for the moment. And I don't think that's wrong. Martinez, you mentioned, right? Brilliant value, 6.3. You've got like Concert 6.1. Even to be honest, Bertrand Traore, you want a real differential.
he's your current flavour of the month, isn't he? You're looking at people taking a punt on somebody.
He's 7.9 million, but he's a fucking forward, isn't he? I just need a midfielder.
Yeah, I mean, that's why Richarlison, if only they'd reclassify him as a midfielder, that would give you a good Everton option, but he's not.
If Grealish is ruled out for, say, a month, which would cover off at least that period up until, obviously, the Tottenham game we now know is going to happen on Sunday the 21st, then El Ghazi could come back into our thoughts. So I think a lot of us were thinking, I certainly was thinking about him over sort of the Christmas period and stuff. He's 7.6. He might come back into people thinking. The point is, Everton Villa is really on my radar for gains beyond this weekend. And I do still think that Everton Villa fixture is likely to happen on March the 17th. Specifically, I think it probably will. We still haven't got the full picture for the weekend of Friday the 12th.
And my layman question to you, because I think that works quite well, is when I ask you the dumb questions, because a lot of the listeners will
you do that.
Thinking the same. When will we know?
The answer.
Weeks away, mate.
Well, the answer with that weekend is I don't know, but I guess they probably want to match it up to if they're going to put Villa and Everton in there. I would say there's a possibility. There's a possibility any day. Friday is a small possibility if they react quick. I was of the thinking that Villa and Everton on Wednesday the 17th would be dependent on if Tottenham and Arsenal were both drawn at home in Europe, because I told you about this rule where you can't have two teams at home in the same city on the same night, hence Tottenham playing 5 o'clock today. But apparently, that's only a rule in the last 32. And the reason why it's the last 32, and same actually for Champions League last 16, although Champions League last 16 split over weeks, so it's easy for them to manage, is because teams are seeded. Whereas obviously in the last 16 of the Europa League, it's an open draw. So what they'll actually do is, say Tottenham and Arsenal are both drawn at home in the second leg, they'll switch the one with the lower coefficient. So they play away when, say Tottenham play away when Arsenal play at home, or vice versa. So that move into the Wednesday shouldn't happen. Therefore, Villa-Everton, it just makes so much sense to be on that Wednesday the 17th. One of the reasons to get it done as well is, obviously Everton's still in the FA Cup, so that could block that midweek of 32. And that midweek's going to get blocked anyway. That's Wednesday the 21st of what month are we in now?
17th, 18th is the weekend. So yeah, 21st of April.
21st of April. Thank you, Suj. Villa were meant to play Man City. Everton are meant to play Tottenham. Well, one of Everton and Man City is going to win the FA Cup quarterfinal, so one of them's possibly going to have to move to midweek. So that's one reason to get it booked in. Another one is Villa and Everton are due to play again in match week 34. Now, I don't think they really want to schedule them playing each other twice in the space of a couple of weeks or so. So I really think that will probably happen Wednesday the 17th, 6 o'clock still. The weekend before, in terms of what's going to happen there, to sort of preempt it, there are 3 games that could land on Friday the 12th. Crystal Palace versus West Brom. Get your checkbooks out, guys. Everton v Burnley is a possible. Talking about Calvert-Lewin. And Newcastle versus Aston Villa is the other. Talking again about Villa assets. So they could land with that Friday night beforehand as well. The Monday we know Wolves and Liverpool's going to be the Monday night, but there's a number of games that could still land in the 6 o'clock slot. And that might be a little bit dependent on how many English teams go through in the Europa League. We know Arsenal Tottenham will be a Sunday. I highly doubt they'd want to put Manchester United and West Ham at 6 o'clock on a Monday. So it's probably going to be Sunday night, I should imagine. That might force, though, Leicester Sheffield United possibly into a 12 o'clock on the Sunday slot. Mm-hmm. They can get all the European teams on the Sunday, despite announcing Everton. In fact, Everton Burnley can't be a Friday because it's been announced for a Sunday. Scrap that. So it's only Crystal Palace, West Brom, or Newcastle, Aston Villa. Everton Burnley's definitely a Sunday. Forgive me.
Right.
Despite announcing Everton Burnley on the Sunday, they can get if all the 4 English teams go through, they can get them all on the Sunday at different time slots because Arsenal and Tottenham are playing each other. But I don't think the clubs in Europe are happy about this 12 o'clock on a Sunday thing at all, particularly when they've been travelling back. Although this will be a Sunday after they're all playing at home, except for Arsenal. Oh, no, we don't know that yet, do we?
Now I understand why Spurs lost to West Ham on Sundays.
Why is that?
You had to play at 12 o'clock on a Sunday after travelling back from Hungary or...
No, there is no...
I understand.
I ain't making no excuse for losing to that shit, mate.
Nah, I'm just joking.
No, ignore what I said about teams travelling back from home, because we obviously don't know the draw for that stage
of course.
As yet.
Yeah.
But then if they're going to plan it in, they might want to factor that into their thinking. Do we want to put one of these teams at 12 o'clock on a Sunday? So I think there's every chance perhaps Leicester Sheffield United ends up on a 6 o'clock on a Monday. It still won't help me because I haven't got any Leicester players either. But it might bring someone like Harvey Barnes onto my radar, perhaps. He's a regrettable one not getting at the start. And I said that in terms of his ownership, didn't I? He's the one that's really surprising me that obviously Leicester have got completely overlooked. But then did it as well myself. Arsenal, Burnley, Brighton. Then that possible Sheffield United fixture. I don't think I can justify it because I can't see me captain him.
Do you know the other thing that might not be on a lot of managers' radars, but should be on a few, including myself, is that we obviously came out of overhaul just over a week ago, or what it was. I came out with 5 Manchester City players, and you came out with 7, was it, in the end?
Yeah.
And some people came out with more. There's nothing wrong with me going from 5 to 7 because they still have West Ham at home, Wolves at home, then United, but then Southampton, then Fulham. They've got 5 fixtures in the same time period that some people have 3 or 4. But I feel like a lot of people's mindset is I've made my Manchester City bed, I'm going to lie in it. Now,
I think that's true.
You can still go back to more Man City and they still feel like incredible assets to own. Like I'm definitely going from Foden. I'm not definitely going, but if I had the money spare and I didn't make a different move, Foden to Kevin De Bruyne for me is a potential that I could make, and that could give me a real good differential because I think Kevin De Bruyne's ownership in the top 1,000 is still pretty low.
Obviously, City play 4 times in the next 10 game days, and the only side that do so. So, yes, I mean, you wouldn't generally advise going in on a Saturday, but I guess if you want to get the gains off of perhaps Leeds or Southampton assets, I'm definitely not going to argue with that. Go for it. There are a few teams that got 3-for-0s over Leeds, West Ham over the next 10 game days as well. Tottenham, Liverpool, Leicester, probably the main 3 to highlight. United do as well, but they've got Chelsea and City in that period. But Tottenham, Liverpool, Leicester look really good as potential 3-for-0s over Leeds, West Ham, depending on where your value is at.
That's the new name for this podcast.
What's that?
3-for-0. I'm only saying that because our friends at Hub who do a really good job on a Sunday, Coxie and Paul and Fergie have called theirs is called 3-for-1. So I was thinking we should rename ours 4-for-1 because 4-for-1's better than 3-for-1. So then people will think we'll get more information. But 3-for-0 is also better than 3-for-1.
I mean, if you take me, say that I could shift things about, and I'm looking to perhaps move Dunk and Bamford this week, but it might be that I'd just go Bamford to Kane on Sunday instead. I mean, look at that and go, it's a 3-for-0. I'm a captain Kane in all 3 of them games, probably as well as a 6, isn't it?
3-for-0 against Dunk.
No, against Bamford.
All right, okay, yeah, I was going to say.
Against Bamford.
It's a 3-for-1 against Dunk, though, so it's still a decent move.
Yeah, because of what's ahead, I wouldn't look at it like that. I would just look at it as a chain move and going, right, I'm getting the gain. Whereas there could be a case to go back to Bamford, that West Ham game. Literally just go into Kane for the 3 games. If you hate it and Tottenham still look shit, you can obviously get off. If you've got Villa, West Ham or Arsenal coverage on the Sunday, there's a chance you don't need Harry Kane again for a while, possibly. Particularly if you've got that Sunday the 14th covered, depending on how the fixtures land as well. So I would look at it just as the immediate on Harry Kane. My intention would be to keep him, by the way. But look at it and go, right, so it's basically 6 for 0 because I'm going to capture him in all 3 of them games, Burnley, Fulham and Crystal Palace. So when I look at it like that, to sitting there and justifying keeping Bamford because, he's got 2 future captaincies. Well, no, the immediate is that is massive. That's massive. So it can be, like I said, that I work Dunk to Kane instead, and I might be going Bamford to DCL on Monday instead. But I think there's a strong case, even though the future captaincy is there, to come off Leeds. There's a lot of people I saw did extremely well last night, and congratulations to them. Got, like, say, Dallas, Rafinha and Bamford. Amazing. Have had monster weeks. But those people have now got a real big decision to make.
There's a big gap between Aston Villa and West Ham, and then the Chelsea game as well. And I think the West Ham game away is going to be a difficult game for Leeds because we're good. One of the things we did well is counter their style. Like, we broke on them really well, played through their press, and then we can get at them. And if we can do that to teams, I think we'll do well against Leeds. So I don't see me wanting to, from the Aston Villa game on Saturday all the way through to the Fulham game, which is not until the blank game week. I don't really want my Leeds assets looking at it. So at that point, that 4 for 2 or Harry Kane has, for example, looks really good.
My thoughts on it at the moment is sell Bamford, and then when West Ham comes around and buy Rafinha instead. Guy is absolutely on fire. 6.8 million in midfield, and he covers the problem. I'm looking at midfield moves with Grealish injured and thinking, what am I doing here? Like, where am I going when I want to come off, say, Rodri, for example? Where can I move to? And I'm looking at that there and going, can I go Rodri to Rafinha as an example? After the Manchester derby on the 7th. Yes, I'll miss Rodri against Southampton and Fulham, but then I'll be picking up 2 captaincies of Rafinha, making it a 5 for 2, and then depending on where the fixtures sit on Saturday, 3rd of April, it could be 6 for 2, for example. So I think that's what I'm likely to do. But all this is all dependent on injuries, right?
Yeah, injuries. And
if I lose a John Stones instead, then he'll go to Rafinha. That's part of the thinking at the moment.
Should we do a bit of captaincy talk?
Yeah, we can. I just want to throw one name in the solution I've come up to the Wolves-Liverpool problem, which won't be a problem for many, but is for me Monday the 15th. What I really don't like about Liverpool is A, how they're playing, but B, I would back Kane over Salah in the 3 games coming up, personally. So you've got Tottenham versus Burnley this weekend. Yeah, well, Salah's playing the same 3 days. So where it was a little bit of an either-or with the midweeks where they might play different nights, the next 3 for Liverpool Tottenham are on the same day. I'll be backing Kane in the 3 games. That was always my intention. I'm not saying you can't back Salah instead. That's what I'm going to do. I look at the 3 because Liverpool got Chelsea in there as well. That makes me want to back Kane because I'm getting the 3 captaincies. Whereas Salah against Chelsea, if I end up with Calvert-Lewin, I'd rather go Calvert-Lewin away to West Bromwich Albion next Thursday, for example. So that's definitely going to edge me to Kane. So it means I wouldn't be captaining Salah till that Wolves fixture. So I won't be buying him personally unless Kane got an injury between now and Sunday, in which case, obviously, I'd go Salah. So then do I want to buy Salah on Monday, the 15th of March, when they're not going to play in the league again for basically 3 weeks after that? And they come back to Arsenal and Aston Villa. It's not the best 2 fixtures. And depending on where they land, there's every chance I'm not captaining that either. So I've found a really dodgy solution to that potential problem. And it is Rui Patricio of Wolves. Stop laughing at the back. So my thinking is that's the end of Edison's run. 2 days before Wolves play Liverpool is the last game of City's run, Fulham away on Saturday the 13th. I'm going to want to bin Edison. Now, it could be that I decide to go Martinez instead when it comes around, particularly if there's a 6 o'clock game on that Monday and I'm covered. Now, it's Rui Patricio.
I mean, this might be a non-problem, right? If we get a second fixture on that Monday night, fingers crossed, it might be a non-problem. But as it stands at the moment, it is a problem.
Now, Rui Patricio against Liverpool is obviously not a great captaincy option. But what might be great for him is the 6 fixtures afterwards. West Ham, Fulham, Sheffield United, Burnley, West Brom, Brighton. And they're likely to be 6 games where I've got no coverage from any of those opponents. There's a good chance that's going to cover me off some captaincy, I think, as well. And the great fixtures on paper. So that's what I'm looking at currently as the Ederson move away. That would leave me at that point, if I kind of follow plan of Kane, DCL, Watkins, Rafinha, Patricio, would leave me on 9 come Monday the 15th. And I would have no coverage for Brighton, Newcastle on the 20th. So there's every chance, obviously, that would put me down to 8. I was asked last week how many I thought I'd have left at the end of, say, Sunday the 21st. And I said I thought it would be 7. So me planning to be down to 8, I'm okay with that.
That was one of my average Sky player questions, because you treat things in blocks. It's always good to try to treat them in blocks of 5 or 6 match weeks and what have you. And match week 29, which is that blank game week, is when we're talking about. So you reckon you'll be at 8 by then? I'm on 18 at the moment. I think I'll be probably around about 12 by then. I'll probably make 6 moves between now and then, and 12 gives me plenty to maneuver the last.
I think I'll probably be on 7 or 6 because there's bound to be some injuries.
Injuries.
And I don't mind that. I don't think I'm going to be less than 7. 7 I'm very happy with at the end of this little period, honestly, because such gains here on things like Everton, Villa. You're still talking about City, the jumping off of Leeds, West Ham potentially, the single game days, that awkward 19th, 20th, 21st, where you probably want coverage of A, Leeds, B, Brighton, and then Villa or Tottenham on the Sunday. There's a lot going on in this little period. Then you've obviously got the international break and a bit of a break for the run-in. And hopefully by then we'll get some clarity on April fixtures. Because every chance, by the way, I would say that when Sunday the 21st happens, there's every chance we won't even know the fixtures for the next game week. It's a possibility. Wow. Honestly, they could wait right up till the end of that. So I don't really think we can plan too much beyond that, other than once European teams start going through, particularly say in the Champions League, you can start booking out, right, they won't play Monday night and stuff like that on April the 5th.
Cool. So this week coming on the Saturday, I'm assuming you're going to pick a City asset against West Ham.
Well, the benefit this weekend is no worry about it because you see the team. I will probably go Cancelo if he's in the team. I'm just a little bit concerned. The only thing I'm concerned about that, if he starts, is play Wolves 3 days later, and there's every chance he'll play again. And a little bit like that game at Burnley, could they just withdraw him early? And it might be that I'd go a bit safer and just go with Ruben Diaz, possibly. But I think it'd be one of those 2 for West Ham on Saturday.
I'm tempted with an attacking asset in Sterling, to be honest with you, because I still own Raheem Sterling. You still have Raheem Sterling?
Yeah, he's got a great record.
He does well against us.
Against West Ham. We've spoken about that yesterday on the podcast.
The only thing putting me off a defensive asset, I'm really torn on a defensive asset versus an attacking asset from City for that day, is the set-piece threat. I just feel like at any given moment, there's every chance that West Ham could knock one in from the set-piece. Your clean sheet's gone. But I definitely think the defenders are locked in for their passing tier points. And with Cancelo and Diaz and Stones, you might have an attacking threat. Cancelo, definitely. So I'm torn on that one, but I know it'll be a Manchester City player. That's the one thing I can guarantee.
I would say the same. I'm not tempted by Dunk versus West Brom enough, to be honest. To be honest, I'm sure he'll hit the passing tier again. It's almost a certainty. And you'd say there's a strong possibility of the clean sheet as well, but I think you're going to City guy, aren't you? Because the ownership and whatnots as well. Don't. And you get to see the team. I mean, that's a rare blessing. We get that again next Tuesday as well.
On the Sunday, you're looking at buying Harry Kane, and I assume if you buy Harry Kane, you'll captain Harry Kane.
Yeah, be Harry for me on Sunday. The only one I currently own going into Sunday is Bruno Fernandes. It's obviously away to Chelsea. I think it's fine, by the way. His ownership is so much that if you just want to find Bruno's playing, tick him off, captain him, I don't mind that. But yeah, I'll back Harry on Sunday.
Looking at what the fixtures are playing out and the discussion that we've had, Stuart Dallas for me will be going for Harry Kane because I literally don't need him again until the 19th. So if I buy Harry Kane, then yes, Harry Kane will be my captain on Sunday.
What you got in the bank? 7, did you say? 7 million or so in the bank.
7.1.
Yeah, cool. Okay, fine.
I wouldn't rule out Mo Salah, but I think Harry Kane is the better longer-term pick.
No, to be honest, if anyone's got
Monday
a preference, Salah over Kane, like I don't mind it. I'm definitely not sitting here saying, "Oh no, it's got to be Kane." Yada yada yada. I'm saying this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. On the Monday, we have only one fixture with this, which is Southampton Everton. I only own the single asset in Yannick Vestergaard. I don't have a burning desire to get any Everton players in for that fixture, so I'll be sticking with Yannick Vestergaard.
I want to get Calvert-Lewin. I don't know if I will or I won't. If I get Calvert-Lewin, I'll stick the armband on him rather than Vestergaard. I'm quite content with Vestergaard for that particular fixture, but I also feel my belief is that Everton Villa game will likely happen, and I'll kick myself for not getting the gain of the Monday out of him as well. In terms of if it's going to be from Bamford, there's no point me waiting until West Brom on the Thursday. I should make the move on the Monday. Correct. So I think at the moment in my planning, I've got him coming in for Bamford on Monday. If that's the case, I would captain him. I think because of Southampton's issues defensively, which, as I said, I think they may fix, you probably would say he's the best shout for Monday night. But Vestergaard's ownership is like 40% in the top 1,000.
Medium. On the Tuesday, which is now when we get into the double game week period of this match week, Man City against Wolves.
Defensive City. I think, again, you get the blessing of the team. With that one, I think if Cancelo's playing, more definitely him, because they'll all pick up the passing tiers against. They probably will in all of them, but in that one, because it's then 5 days to Manchester United, I'd have less worry about him getting hooked early, I think.
Yeah.
So, but it'd probably be Cancelo or Diaz. If I was to punt on one of the attacking players for a game, it would definitely be the West Ham game rather than the Wolves game, I think, personally. It's almost definitely a defensive City asset against Wolves.
On the Wednesday, who are your thoughts around the Wednesday?
As I said, I might buy Ollie Watkins against Sheffield United, but yeah, I can't see beyond Bruno at Crystal Palace unless something.
I think Dan's on the hunt, isn't he? Because Bruno's at 99.9% owned in the top 1,000.
Who's the one person?
Who is that one person in the top 1,000 that doesn't own him? So yeah, who are you? Stick your hand up in the air. Thursday night, assuming you've bought Mr. Harry Kane, you'll be captaining Harry Kane.
I would say so against Fulham, but my frustration could be so big with Spurs by that point. I might go Calvert-Lewin against West Brom, but we can discuss that next Wednesday. But yes, the plan would be Kane against Fulham. Yeah.
I think Spurs and your mental health don't go well together, and especially when you layer in captaining them in a fantasy sports games, whether it's
I think he'll do very well though over this period. I really do.
Good. That's our captaincy covered. Should we have a cheeky look at a few of the Twitter questions that we've had in, James?
Yes, please.
I have no doubt that we've covered some of them off already, but we'll definitely look. I'm going to go to the bottom and work my way up. Ben at Dream Team Tonic. Mo Salah or no Salah?
No Salah for me.
It's no Salah for me. And the reason it's no Salah is, I'll admit, I can't find a way of getting Salah and getting gains because I'm not going to be putting the armband on him. If I was going to put the armband on him over Harry Kane, then it makes sense because a 3-for-1 becomes a 6-for-1, for example, versus another player. If I spend some more time tinkering and looking at the spreadsheet and thinking there's a player that I'm willing to sacrifice and get a 3-for-1 or 2-for-1, and then I'll captain Mo Salah, then I would do it. But it's not the fact that I think Salah's a bad pick. It's the fact that I can't get gains is why I'm not going no Salah instead of Mo Salah.
I think
similar for you as well, I think, right?
What's interesting, and certainly not saying that you can't have both, but there is no need to have both at the moment. It's part of the reason I didn't start with either was thinking that there was a possibility in terms of the layout of the fixtures that there would be a scenario where I would say go quite a period where I'm not going to captain Mo Salah. The one that made me nervous was the one that's gone against Everton in terms of the no captaincy, and I've escaped it. So the fact I don't own him at the moment is not bothering me. Could he go off in those three fixtures, Mo Salah? Like, could he outscore Harry Kane? Yeah, of course, absolutely. He's the greediest bastard on the planet. other than maybe Harry Kane. So they could both go off in these 3 games, but you can't captain both. And in terms of risk assessment and where we're at with transfers at the moment, I couldn't justify buying both of them on Sunday, even though in terms of the immediate points, that would be the best solution. Go and buy both of them on Sunday. But looking a little further ahead, I don't think it is. I think it's one or the other in most cases.
Yeah. We've got another question here coming in from, let me put it up. Fantasy Football Ninja, at what point will you start taking risks to try and win it? Excuse me. You don't really have the volume of transfers to start getting crazy.
I mean, look, let's just say that hypothetically I was in the top 10 come match week 36 or so. I would probably be far enough where I'd probably have to start putting out some fucking random captaincy selections. But I don't see that happening. There's too big of a gap now, and there's too much of a template. That template's possibly going to break a little bit over the next couple of weeks, especially when obviously like City's fixtures stop on that. These different gains maybe for Everton, Villa, people making moves. The Kane Salah choice, for example. There's some things that are going to differentiate the game a little bit more in the next few weeks or so, and I could quite easily sink as fast as I could swim, right?
Yeah, the challenge when you go, what I would say is if you start taking risks in an environment where all the highly owned players and highly captain players are all doing well, like all of the players that you'd expect to do well are doing well, you end up shooting yourself in the foot. And that's what the kind of situation we're in right now is, that a lot of the good players are doing well, especially City.
Basically, at the moment, me making gains, because I've got the 7 City players, is very reliant on what they do. So it's the extra midweek game that's constantly giving me can I get the leg up, is the Man City players. On days when City ain't playing, I just accept it's a red arrow before it even starts at the moment. Almost, there's days I've had where I've only had like the one player playing, because, last Saturday, Rudiger and Vestergaard. And I realised that didn't turn out too badly because so many people captained Salah, I presume. But you're never looking at that thinking, this is going to be a great day for me. I mean, what's the best case scenario there? Okay, I might jump a little bit because I've got a bit of a differential captain. But that's the kind of one where I've taken the choice to go differential, because there wouldn't have been many people sitting there on Saturday who didn't captain Mo Salah. I made a choice to go against him, as I said. I know that's not always going to pay off, right? It's not like Mo Salah's not going to score goals. So there are little bits like that with the 2 really good captaincies, which didn't work out versus Azpilicueta particularly. I think Azpi got tackled here again on Saturday. So Azpilicueta would have been the better pick, considering it was short set.
FPL Wilson asks about best Grealish midfielder replacements.
If you'd asked me yesterday, I'd say Rafinha. He looks at 6.8 million. It's like a gift that I think so many of us have overlooked. I know quite a few of our patrons have been on him since this overhaul period, just believing in obviously the fixtures and his ability. And that's what I said. That's kind of what I want to do. I think I've been stuck mentally thinking with Bamford that he's unbelievable value as a 8.2 million forward, what he's doing. Of course he is, absolutely. But Rafinha at 6.8 million as a midfielder is really beginning to possibly fix some problems. Now, I can't buy him this weekend. I can't justify that when I'm talking about these 3 for 0s. So it's a case of moving off Bamford after Villa, coming back for Rafinha after West Ham. That's my thinking at the moment. Other midfielders, I tell you what, you ain't flush. I think Harvey Barnes Sunday.
Yeah.
But know that that's probably not a move to game week 38. You probably are going to find something where after they play Brighton on Saturday the 6th, if the Sheffield United fixture doesn't look like a captaincy option, which to be honest, it should do on the Sunday or Monday, then there's a good chance you'll move straight after they play Brighton on Saturday the 6th. But I think that would be the call at the moment. Harvey Barnes, Mason Mount, rogue, but I look at them next few fixtures, United, Liverpool next, and timing-wise just doesn't feel right. I think Harvey Barnes.
Tom SkyFF says, I've got a front 3 of Sterling, Salah and Bamford. I can only make one of these moves due to budget. Sterling to Kane or Bamford to DCL. I think, again, the captaincy question comes up. Like, if you're planning on captaining DCL and you need him for the captaincy coverage, it's a different conversation. Whereas if you're going to captain Kane, again, it's a different conversation. I think the Bamford to DCL is probably the better, more sensible move, because Sterling still has a lot of fixtures in that time period, whereas Bamford doesn't. And DCL will cover you off there. So probably Bamford to DCL is the sensible move.
From
Sterling to Kane probably has the bigger upside if you're
from point of transfer. If you look up to say when Tottenham play Arsenal on March the 14th, from point of transfer then of going Sterling to Kane, Kane plays 3 times and so does Raheem Sterling. In fact, Sterling plays 4 times. It's not even a game. Now, over that period, even with one less game, generally I would expect Kane to outscore probably Raheem Sterling. But that's why I began to look at my plan a little bit in terms of should I still be keeping him? He can go off at any time. The problem with Sterling is it's a lot of money for a player you're not going to captain. Now, if you're thinking at the moment is, well, I want to captain Salah against Sheffield United, then I want to captain Kane against Fulham. If that's part of your strategy plan at the moment, then obviously it's justifiable to have Kane and Salah. But at the moment, you're sitting there with Salah. Ironically, you don't need Harry Kane. You've backed your horse. Arguably, I'd stick with it. And so therefore, yeah, I think the logical there it possibly is to go to Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah. Shout out to Ian Parent. Ian's asking about the possibility of getting DCL next Monday with the Aston Villa Everton game potentially being March the 17th. We've definitely covered that off. Dan Cox, do you like a samosa?
Some shitty triangle things you get from the Chinese, isn't it?
No, mate.
I feel like this might be a joke from Sunday night's Hub podcast, which I haven't seen.
Some regular long-time listeners will know that I only married my wife because of samosas.
I didn't know that, and I'm a long-time listener.
Yeah. Used to when we were back in the days when we were dating, courting as we were. I used to go around if we were going out somewhere. I'd go around to pick her up, and obviously, mum and dad would be come in, and mum being mum would be like, "You got to eat something." She'd start like cooking. She knew that I liked samosas. She'd literally, it's just coming around. She'd have a plate of 10 or 15 ready every time.
Okay.
I have to fucking marry this woman now, don't I? Really? Because every time I go around and see her parents get fed.
Question is though, were you going to pick her up in the Lightning McQueen?
No. Lightning McQueen came later. Lightning McQueen only came because of the kids, mate. Lightning McQueen only came with the kids, and
they only come because of samosas. Is that what you're saying?
The thing to know with a good samosa is when you have meat samosas, if they put too much potato in, waste. Like don't give up the meat content to fill it full of vegetable, please. That's just unacceptable.
Nah, I pass. Not big. I mean, listen, if you put food in front of me, I'll eat it. But yeah.
Yeah, but it's the spice. Good. And let's give one last question. This is a good one from Maneuver. Game week 29, based on the fact that a match week 29, let's call it, that you're looking at 7 or 8 moves. How many Manchester City players do you expect to have at that point?
4. I can't see me wanting to get rid of Cancelo, Diaz, Stones until either A, one gets injured, or B, it becomes a serious rotation concern because, I don't know, the league is won and they're going all out in the Champions League or something like that. But I intend to keep those 3. The 4th player staying at the moment would be Gundogan. Part of that is because of the midfield problem. And it just offers brilliant little value at his price. You can't argue it on form. Now, that opinion might change in a few weeks. Mm-hmm. But at the moment, I'd see him probably staying. But then, like I said, I'm going into Brighton and Newcastle with no coverage. So it might be that I make a move on Saturday the 20th and then that becomes 3 players. If I bought, say, Rafinha in already for one of the City defensive guys, say one gets injured, then I might end up moving from Gundogan to Lewis Dunk on Saturday the 20th, for example, and then I'll only be down to 2 Man City players. So fitness is a little bit important on it. But strategy-wise, I'm looking to come off these guys as late as possible. So I've earmarked Sterling to Watkins next Wednesday, so 2 more games of Sterling. Rodri after the Manchester derby, so 3 more games of Rodri. And then Ederson to Patricio after the Fulham game. So that's still all of City's 5 games. I do think that the slow movement needs to happen, but I don't think it's a case of, sell them all for 7 Villa players. Obviously not.
I'm the same. I think I'll actually be 4 or 3. Stones and Cancelo are not going nowhere for me. Gundogan and Foden is an interesting one. One of them was going to turn into Kevin De Bruyne. I don't know which at the moment. It might depend on who plays when I see the starting lineup on Saturday. And then I've got Raheem Sterling. He'll probably stick around for me unless I think I want to try and get a big fixture advantage. This is where the defensive, because you've got an extra defender and the goalkeeper makes a bit of a difference. Having said that, I'm comfortable with Nick Pope giving me, because he gives me a bit of captaincy coverage as well. So
on KDB, I can only see me getting him if I lose Rodri, Gundogan or Fernandes to injury. In spite of the fact it would be quite comfortably affordable for me by just altering things slightly, I can't see me doing it. I see me doing it.
Because obviously it gives me a really good, interesting differential captaincy option for Manchester City. So, for example, if Foden doesn't start on Saturday, he's gone for me. I'll be Foden out.
I get that.
Job done.
I get that.
And then I'll be sticking the armband on KDB as well, which will be very.
You do know against Wolves, then Foden could play and KDB might not. They're going to be careful with him. Do not want him.
I understand that.
I know they've done really well without him. Trust me, they do not want Kevin De Bruyne injured again. They're going to be careful with him.
Yeah, I understand that. Although he started at the weekend, it wasn't like he came off the bench. They started him.
No, but he was on the bench at Everton. Then it was right that he started. He didn't play the whole game, did he? They've got another important game in the Champions League tonight. Then it's Saturday. Then it's Tuesday. I wouldn't even bank on Kevin De Bruyne starting both those two games personally.
Yeah, that's true. But we shall see how it rolls out. When you're in my position with a few more transfers and a bit of ground to make up, it can be a little bit more risky.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not going to tell anyone that Kevin De Bruyne's a bad buy. Not at all, right? The capability of him means going without him is always a risk because the power of him just in one game to go, bosh, there's 40 points with the armband and you're dead. And we know that. And that he will have a game like that at some point, no doubt about it.
Listeners, thank you for your questions. Thank you for tuning in. I hope we've given you some insight into the next week and a little bit further, all the way up to match week 29 for Sky Fantasy Football. If you're a keen Sky Fantasy Football player, we say it every week, think about joining up to our Patreon. It's patreon.com/PlanetFPL. There's a very lively Slack channel talking about Sky Fantasy Football. People are very open and share their ideas and thoughts around transfers and players. And James produces a spreadsheet as well every week that helps people plan and it gives you a very good and clear indication of when the fixtures are, when the 2-for-1s are, when the 3-for-1s are, and so on and so on. There are a few in the Patreon that are really up there. I think shout out to Ben, who is second now, and he's in our Slack channel.
He's going to fucking win the whole thing.
Yeah, he is.
That's one of the reasons why I'm saying I can't win it, because Ben's winning it.
Fantastic stuff. So do think about that. It's optional. We'll still get your free Sky podcast each and every week. Wherever you're listening, or if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and all of that other stuff. Most importantly, though, stay safe. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Be nice to each other. Good luck this week. Cue music, please, matchup.